Have you ever sold something to someone and then gone too far afterwards? Like giving away the store, like taking their calls over the weekend when you probably shouldn't have, or thrown in a whole bunch of stuff, or just anything and everything because you want to make sure everything works out perfectly for them. Well, guess what? Today's show is just for you. And trust me, you're not alone. All that and more is coming up on episode 832 of today's Antidote. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Ooh, with a little spin today.
Dude, you almost fell down.
I did not.
You should not do that again. You looked a little off balance at the end of that.
I'll work on it.
You might have been going a little bit too far with your excitement. Maybe.
I got nothing.
I don't want to judge.
I'm glad I could make you laugh on this beautiful Wednesday morning. So
for those of you who are listening to the podcast on this, Bob did a little extra. He did like a pirouette or a spin after as a part of his whatever it is he does. We need to come up with a name for that. Whatever
I think it would be called gyrations.
Yeah, but that's kind of, it needs a name like another dance move needs a name,
Like the nay or all that
yeah,
stuff.
Something like that.
That's it.
You should work on that. You're our wordsmith guy. Come up with a name.
All right, I'll work on that.
Your gyrations, whatever they are. Anyhow.
Maybe we call it the antidote. Oh, there it is. The antidote. Dun-dun-dun-dun. I like it.
Well, does it include the spin now? Although I'm not sure I'm recommending that.
Yeah, there. I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyhow. Wait until that becomes the latest dance. You should do a TikTok video or something on that.
That would be great.
If it goes viral.
Of
all the things.
Song, though. The electric slide's got that song. You're at a wedding and you hear that song start and you go right to it. Or, the nay-nay or the whip or what's the one, the cowboy song? Because I've been at the stadium and they do that. There's you got to have a song that goes with it, and we don't.
Well, what's the music that plays beforehand? Oh, you need a song.
You need a song like with lyrics that tell you the moves. Like the song in what's the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Let's do the time warp again.
Is there a dance for that?
They talk about going to the left and going to the right, right?
I guess. I don't know. I've never really watched that full thing.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's classic.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very funny.
I think it's a like you have to be into it funny.
Okay.
The humor is a little
it's a little
kind
off.
of like, have you ever seen oh shoot, I can't think of the name of that movie.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. That's
another one. I tend to like those movies. Napoleon Dynamite's funny.
Or like Princess Bride is a little bit that way.
Yeah.
Where like the humor is like okay, guess that's funny. I'm not really you got to be in the mood, I think.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. Who knows? Anyway. Good morning and welcome everyone to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where each week we have a conversation around the topic, and then each weekday we dive into that topic a little bit deeper.
Is this when I do my disclaimer?
Sure.
We are recording this episode, folks, so Tom and I did not sleep in our same clothes. I know that's often a subject of concern. And because we recorded the episode, you cannot see us put your comments on the actual program. Please, though, put your comments in the comments. We will read every comment and we will respond to every comment, one or the other of us. And your comment could be really valuable for someone else, even though it's not going to appear on the broadcast. And we'll be back live tomorrow, God willing. And the creek don't rise, which I don't know of any creek, and I'm on the 3rd floor in my penthouse. So if the creek rises, I'll still be here. How about you?
I grew up on a creek road. How about that?
Did not know that.
Knights Creek or Crick. If you grew up where I grew up, it was Knights Creek.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Yes. So please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas as we go through the conversation, because we know that'll add value in the comments. Someone might be reading that and be like, huh, I never really considered that. And then at the conclusion of the conversation, Bob and I will offer our one thing, or today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you figure out when you're stuck, frustrated, uncertain, overwhelmed, lacking a little confidence, that you can figure out it'll help you figure out how to take your next step to move forward and solve the challenges that you're facing in your business or in your role as a leader, because they come up often and sometimes they're hard to deal with and address. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast, there's no place really to share your comments, so you can join us inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Before we dive into the conversation, though, each morning Bob and I share our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
It's Teacher Appreciation Week, Tom. Did you know that?
No, because I'm not in school.
Well, I'm lucky enough to be dating a teacher, a special education teacher, and I see each day the amount of effort that goes into being a really good teacher, from thinking about how to do things differently to help kids learn in different ways, to being in Target and getting little gifts for the kids when they accomplish certain things, to just coming home at the end of the day completely exhausted from a day of just facing the battle. And I think all of us can look back and think of at least one teacher that made a huge difference in our life. So this is a week to celebrate teachers and to appreciate them. I know at her school, they're doing things for the teachers each day. And it just, I've been a teacher. I've taught high school, I've taught college at various times. It is a really valuable role, but it is also an exhausting role. So to all the teachers out there, thank you for what you do, especially one of my favorite teachers.
When is business coach or nonprofit professional coach appreciation week?
I think you should try to set that up. That would be really good. I'm in for that.
It is fascinating to me. This will probably get me in trouble.
You're not going to say negative things about teachers, are you? Because I can't stand for that today.
I am not. I am just going to say it's interesting how we place value on different roles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you were saying how, they're fighting the battles and come home exhausted at the end of the day. And like, what worker doesn't have that experience?
I think there's Tom, I taught high school, and the best way I can describe it was at the end of the day, being a high school teacher, I felt like I had been a battery all day, and kids sucked the energy off the battery. And when I got home at the end of the night, my goal was to recharge to get ready for the next day. And over the course of the week, I could not recharge enough. By the time I got to Friday, I was wiped out. And it takes a toll. You're on stage. Think about it. I don't know if you know, but when you and I are doing this program, we've got to think about what we're saying. You got to think about how you use your words and the ideas and images. We're doing this for 40 minutes. In a classroom as a teacher, you're doing it for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. It is exhausting. Like you told me a couple weeks ago, you were telling us how you did 2 presentations 2 days in a row, or you're telling me off the air, and that it was kind of exhausting. That's what being a teacher is every day. People don't realize it's not. I would say it's like being a doctor doing major surgery every day. And I'm sorry, if you're someone, no offense to anyone that works with spreadsheets or writing sentences all day, but it's a different kind of animal.
Doesn't mean that they don't go home exhausted.
They could.
What about a waitress or waiter? They're on their feet all day. They're really in front of people. And I'm not discounting any of it. I think that everyone in their own way.
There'll be a fun dinner in your future. That's what I can assure you.
My wife was a teacher.
Okay.
I just think we all have, are there days that you come home exhausted?
There are, but not every day.
Okay.
And adding another layer to this, Tom, the person I'm talking about is a special education teacher.
Okay.
So I had no idea what that role entails.
I am not by any account discounting that at all, not in any way. And I know other teachers that some days are very uplifting and very motivating and energizing, and so I just
we have Nurse Appreciation Week, because
right.
nurses go through. I think there are just some fields that are more difficult than others.
What about Fast Food Worker Week? You're a register all day. Bank Teller Appreciation Week.
I think the difference is in the case of a teacher.
Yeah.
We've all been influenced by a teacher. We're forced in this country to, most of us go through at least 12, 13 years of schooling. So we all have that common experience. Plenty of people never see a nurse in their life. They may never go to a fast food restaurant. They may never deal with a business coach. So the common element is we've all been influenced by teachers. I'd be hard pressed to think of anyone that could say, no, I went through all 12 years of schooling and no teacher ever influenced me. I find that hard to believe.
And we're influenced by people all the time. I don't know. It's just interesting. I don't know.
What are you celebrating, Tom?
I'm celebrating that I get to go. That one of the reasons we're recording this is I am home with my parents. That I get to spend some time with my parents. My mom has a thing, so my dad and I are going to hang out a little bit. And I'm excited to be back with them.
Okay. Awesome. I wish your father the best and your mother too. I got to,
because they have to deal with me. That's probably a good wish. Is that
no? I got to meet them on one of the Zoom things we did a couple years ago. It was really one of the highlights of COVID for me was getting to meet Tom's parents.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So let's move on, because I've probably gone too far and I'm going to get myself in trouble. So, considering I have 2 kids who are teachers.
That was a part of this I was trying to figure out.
Although I have another daughter. I have a daughter who takes care of horses and does lessons all day. She's on her feet.
That's being a teacher. That's being a teacher.
So aren't we celebrating everyone then if we're all teachers?
I don't know that we're all teachers. We could be.
You don't think we have an impact on the people around us?
We can.
Share our value with them and that they are impacted by it? Just saying.
Trying to do a good thing here. You're just not going to let it happen.
I think it's great that we do it. I think we should celebrate everybody for the value that they provide to the world.
I know one thing. I gotta make sure 7 o'clock tomorrow morning is different than I expected.
Yeah, it's so I'm having a little influence on you.
Oh, you're affecting me, all right.
You didn't say anything. I'm the one who said it.
I'm going to maintain that teachers are really valuable. We should appreciate them for a week.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm just
Thank you.
We are that there's value for all of us, and that we're all teachers in some way. I'm sure I will feel the wrath of some people of this, which I'm not saying we shouldn't celebrate them.
So let's talk about our topic today.
Really? You want to do that?
Sure.
Why don't you dive in? Talk a little bit about going too far, because I've probably gone too far.
So when we make a sale, there's the possibility, especially if we're uncomfortable with what we offer, that we don't believe that the person buys from us and we don't believe that we can actually do what we say we can do.
Or our product or service can.
Or a product or service, yes. That we go too far. Going too far, I came up with a list of where going too far where I've been able to go too far in the past. Taking a person's calls on the weekends because they have a question or they just want to check in. The hour call that you let go to be an hour and 45 minutes because you want to make sure they get their value. Throwing in something after the sale. Like, oh, hey, appreciate that you want to work with me, but let me throw this thing in that's got real value so that you're really convinced that I can do what I can do. I'm trying to think of another example. Reducing the price. Oh, did I forget to tell you? I'm doing a discount this month because you're not comfortable. And I think what this really is going too far is not believing that you as the seller can go far enough with whatever the product or service is. And so your commitment isn't about your commitment to them. It's about your commitment to yourself. Do you believe in yourself and being able to do this thing that you've agreed to do? And I think for a lot of us, we have times where we don't. We just, we sell something. It sounds really good. We're solving a person's problem, but we don't actually know exactly how we're going to do it, especially when you're doing a service. When it's a good or product, it's a little easier. If you buy this pen and you want to write with the pen, this is pretty straightforward. You don't really need to throw anything extra into it. But you could, hey, you know what? I'm worried that this pen might not work for you, so let me throw a second pen in.
Or a pencil.
Or a pencil.
And an eraser.
And a stylus in case you're on your iPad.
And a notebook.
And a notebook. And, a magnifying glass in case you don't have your glasses. And we do that. I think a lot of us do that in the belief that it's what is the way to do it. And I think one of the things that causes us to think that's the way we do it is if you watch ads on TV. Oh, hey, this is $19.99, but if you order right now, we're going to give you a second one and no shipping and handling. That's right. So I think we get indoctrinated into that viewpoint that we've got to give more and more and more and make it so incredibly amazing to the person that they can't possibly think that this isn't really valuable. But whenever I've done the 2-for-1, and I've bought some things on TV that are 2-for-1 and no shipping and handling, a couple of things. I've got one of the second things sitting in my car. It's been sitting in my car for the last 3 months because I don't have a second use for it. And I'm embarrassed to give it to someone and say, hey, by the way, I bought 2 of these. It's 2-for-1 because I'll be like, really? You bought that?
Why would you be embarrassed to do that? Wouldn't you just say, hey, I've got a gift for you?
Except they know where it came from because this is something that you see on TV frequently. And you'd be like, really? You bought into that? Yeah, I kind of did. So I think we run that risk. And I think the real big issue is going too far is not about the person we're selling to. It's about us as the seller. We don't fully believe in what we can deliver. So we add to it to make sure that it adds up to what we want it to be. Rather than just accepting that, hey, this person bought this solution to whatever their problem was, good service, product, however they choose, and they see it as a solution to their problem. So they see the value. Therefore, we don't have to go any further in terms of giving them too much, taking the call on the weekend. Hey, I told you I work Monday through Friday. If you got a problem on Saturday, you're on your own. Look at Chick-fil-A. How many times have you gone by Chick-fil-A on Sunday and said, boy, I really would love chicken. I'd love some of their waffle fries. They're not there on Sunday.
No change.
And I don't see that changing.
No. And I guess the question I have is too far for whom?
Oh.
And I'm going to sort of throw this out here. And
Well, you're in this deep today, so throw another bomb.
Why not? Let's. Here's my one thing, because I was thinking about this.
Wait, how you haven't even said anything, and you have your one thing already?
I do, because I was thinking about it when I looked at the title, and I'm like, huh, I didn't think about this when we came up with it or when we put it together. It's just a judgment. Too far is a judgment. And I think we can get stuck in, what if we just do what's real? And sometimes what's real is you want to offer 2 for 1. Sometimes what's real, because you might say, hey, you know what? You get one and you can give one to someone and share the value of this somewhere else. Wouldn't you be a great person? Or a person that is thinking of someone else? Or someone needs a little extra because they're not quite getting what it is. And you decide that you give them extra 45 minutes on a call. You give them another call that they wasn't necessarily part of the original deal, because you're trying to figure out what's best for them. And others or yourself are just judging you if you have said you're going too far. Now, you can set boundaries, and then you have a choice. Do I surpass those boundaries or not? And not look at it as a judgment of what happened. Just look at it, this is what's real in the moment, and this is what I believe to be the choice that I'm going to make, because I think it'll add value to what we're doing, rather than worrying about, is it too much, too little, or whatever. I mean, yes, you can look back and learn from it, say, maybe that's something I would do differently the next time. I just believe that if you start saying about going too far, you're going to get stuck in that. And you're going to spend so much time worrying about, did you go too far? Did you not go far enough? You're just going to end up stuck, rather than just adding value to the person that you're working with, or the person that you provided the service, or the person that bought your widget.
I guess the issue I have with that is, if you keep adding value, at some point you exceed the value for which they've compensated you, and now you're giving it away.
That's your choice.
And while that's a choice, I think sometimes we do it not because we want to help them, but we want to overcome a feeling in our head that we can't do what we said we could.
Or that we haven't given them enough, which is a judgment as well. It's all around a judgment of how do we feel, not believing we have value, we share our value. And then based on how the person reacts, or how you can choose. You know what? I've given enough, and I don't feel the need to do this to provide them with any more, and I'm okay with that. Or you can choose to say, hey, this person has really been working hard. They just haven't really quite got it. I'm going to provide them with some extra support. With, you know what, they're a great customer, and and they buy cars from me all the time, and with all their family members, and they recommend me all the place. I'm going to give them an extra set of keys free. Some would say that's going too far to their car. Others,
but that's got a motivation, and that's recognizing something that's happened up to that point. I think where I struggle is the customers never said anything to me, but I think, oh, you know what? They're not going to be satisfied with this.
And why is that?
So I preemptively add value.
And what are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm making a judgment, absolutely. But I think that's the issue, is what's the motivation? If you're recognizing someone's prior actions, I don't think it's going too far. If you're forecasting that they're not going to get the value unless I throw in another whatever, I think that's where you run into trouble.
Because you're judging it. You're thinking forward about the results. You're
also not believing in yourself and what you can do. My widget isn't going to do what I said it would do, and they're going to be disappointed, and they're going to be really pissed off. So rather than have that happen, I'm going to give them a second widget, because then I avoid the fact that they might come back and say, Bob, your widget didn't work the way you said it would.
Correct. And that's worrying about a result that you sometimes can't control.
I think we agree on that. So I think for me, the one thing would be, what's the motivation for adding value? Is it to avoid the possibility that the person's not going to like what you offered, or it's not going to deliver what you said? Or is it to appreciate the value that they've given you in return for the value you give them? Like the car dealer. If you bring all your family to a car dealer and he's sold your family 5 cars, yeah, an extra set of keys, it's a no-brainer.
For some.
Giving them tickets to the baseball game makes perfect sense because you're thanking them for the value they brought you in return for them seeing your value. But if you're giving someone baseball tickets because they bought from you and you're afraid that they're going to come and say your product doesn't work, so you just hand them 4 baseball tickets, that might suggest a different issue.
It could.
Right?
Yes. The challenge is, I think, so often is we judge that reasoning rather than evaluate it. And
okay.
Say, why did I do that? Well, maybe I did it because I was judging it. And that might go to, I don't believe in the value of our product, our service. And the funny thing is that it really, in some ways, doesn't matter whether we believe it or not. It's do they see it? So if we stop worrying about, are we adding the value that am I providing enough? Rather think about how are they responding and are they getting enough? Because I would imagine that you have some clients that in what you share in the first week of working with them has enough value that they are like, this was one of the smartest decisions I made because I've already seen the value and I still have so long to go. And we don't know that unless they tell us that. And you could be going through that and they may not be reacting the way that you're expecting them to react because they've gained that much value. And now you start judging yourself. And it just leads you, I think, to being frustrated and trying to figure out, well, what do I do now? Because I clearly haven't provided enough value, even though you have no idea of knowing whether or not you have it or not.
Right. And I'll give you a great example. When I was teaching college, there would be students that I would think hated my class because they just didn't look like they were paying attention. They didn't feel it. They didn't engage. And at the end of the semester, they'd come up and say, I just want to tell you, this was one of the best classes I've ever had. I learned so much here. And I'm like, you haven't said a word in 3 months. And then you'd have other students who you thought they were engaged the whole time. And they'd be like, at the end, well, that was kind of a waste of time. And you just couldn't know because people react differently. And yes. I think that's the thing. And then you had the third set of students that just were half engaged, half not engaged, and never said a word. But you'd see them 2 or 3 years later. They'd be like, I never told you. I really got a lot out of your class. And it'd be 3 years later. Like, oh, that's nice to hear. So you can't know what's going on for another person. And I'm not even sure they know in the moment.
You mean results can change?
Results can change. And sometimes we're not even thinking about the results. We're just trying to solve a problem. So we're so mired in the problem, you're not looking at, oh, wow, he gave me a really good piece of advice.
Yes, I would agree.
All right.
Well, I'm not going to go back to my one thing I already gave it.
That's good. That's good. Please don't.
I wanted to be a little bit of a renegade today and said, you know what, maybe I'm going to.
Oh, you've been a renegade today. Don't you worry about that. You got that covered in the first 10 minutes.
Well, we just sharing my value, not judging whether it's gone too far or not. I might evaluate it and say, what might I have done differently? Might. I don't know. We'll see.
Please invite me to that meeting. I'd like to weigh in.
Well, that's just feedback. So yeah, you're welcome to weigh in. I'm just going to take it as feedback.
Okay, fair enough.
And there'll be others who would be like, yeah, you didn't go far enough. Maybe you should have gone further. So, just feedback.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us on this recorded show. If you have thoughts and ideas that you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments. Because as Bob mentioned earlier in his disclaimer, we will go back and comment on them as well. And I'm sure others will find value in the thoughts that you share. I'm sure some people are going to beat me up for sounding like I was knocking Teacher Appreciation Week, which I was not. I was wondering where is all the other appreciation for all the hardworking, dedicated people who come home, make a difference, had impact and value, and are exhausted when they get at home. That's all. I'm trying to be inclusive. How about that? Anyhow, if you are listening to the podcast, we know there's no place to comment. Join us inside our Ringer Renegades Facebook group, where we are helping people figure out how to grow their business, become a different type of leader, attack the things that they're struggling with and challenges. And if that's something that you feel like you're having, at this moment where you need a little bit more than just being part of a group and sort of gathering some of the insight value that's there, reach out to Bob and I, because we have a program that'll help you figure out those things that may be holding you back a little bit, that are keeping your business down, or that you're really questioning about, or should be challenged with the things that you have as a leader. We can help you figure out how to create a pathway to those things that you might be struggling with, that'll help you figure out how to achieve your goals. So we look forward to seeing you in that group. We look forward to hearing from you. If there's something you think we can be helpful for as you try to grow your business and maybe take it from a solopreneur to somebody with a couple of employees, or you're in that range of 3 to 20 employees and trying to figure out how to manage it all, so that you can really take control of your day and figure out how to achieve the success that you desire. So we look forward to seeing you there. Go out and enjoy the day.
Hey, and whatever you do, embrace the renegading you. And we appreciate you, teachers, despite what Tom said.
What did I say that disparaged teachers? That's what I want to know. Did I say anything that disparaged them?
You just said that they're no different than all the other fields.
I didn't say that. I said that
You said, why don't we have a business coach appreciation day? Why don't we have a fast food worker day?
So I didn't say that they are the same as everyone else. We're all different and unique. I think I've made that point abundantly clear on this show over the 832 episodes. I was just looking out for those other people who I feel sometimes don't get appreciated for all that they bring to the world.
Okay, fair enough.
Value that they share.
Okay. I got nothing.
All right, everybody, enjoy your day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.